The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. We welcome you once again to the Sandy and Toddcast. And this time, no guest, just us.
Just us. So, I don't know. Is that worth... Yeah, it's worth listening to. Come on, Todd.
I'm not the one who said it. You're the one who said it, not me. Don't say, come on, Todd. You're the one who goes, I don't know if it's worth listening to. So
We're so entertaining. We're always so entertaining and opinionated, and we rant and we make fun of each other, and while you make fun of me.
Yes, and there will be more of that coming this time around. This is Season 3, Episode 13. We're calling it Podcast Potpourri, and it's next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
Tarot time. If you're listening to this podcast, the divine messages are definitely for you. Let's combine science and magic, shall we? Root cause analysis, business planning, counseling, and good old-fashioned intuitive tarot readings so we can improve your near future circumstances by addressing your present scenarios. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For more in-depth tarot consultations, please book your readings at positivetarotwisdom.com. Infinite love and blessings for everyone.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Todd.
Let's not ever do that ever again, by the way. Only
Never,
on this podcast.
again.
It's the Sandy and Toddcast. Welcome to it. Glad you're along today.
Hey, guys. How is everybody doing out there? Now, everybody has celebrated Thanksgiving, hopefully, and been with loved ones. And if you can't, at least maybe you Zoomed and you still had a really good meal. And now it's time to just relax this weekend. It's a beautiful Sunday, and we're going to get you through it.
Yeah, I mean, we had Black Friday, Small Business Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Monday is Cyber Monday. Giving Tuesday's coming up.
Yep.
And Christmas is just, it's a month away, is basically. It's less than a month away at this point. But yeah, about a month away, if you can believe that or not.
Yeah, I'm already, every year, Dave and I try to help some people who need some help, and we're already starting to get that rolling. And I have a funny Black Friday story to tell. Well, it's not hilarious, but it's kind of funny because poor Dave.
Well, period. That's the story. Poor Dave, period.
So years and years ago, we don't do Black Friday because we never understood the whole point of getting up at, 1 a.m. and standing in line. Or even we live next to a mall, and we would literally drive around on Thanksgiving night after dinner and see all the people in their tents all set up in the freezing cold.
Right.
Of course, we're in central New York State, so it's always cold. And, kind of laugh, chuckle. So we just made a vow that we were never going to do it. Well, one time, many years ago, probably 2006, 2005, when remember those iPods, the music iPods were really huge? I really wanted one. And Kmart, that's around the corner from our house, had one at a really cheap price. So I asked Dave, I said, Dave, I'll never ask you to do it again. Yeah, right. I said, I'll never ask you to do it again. Could you go on Black Friday and get me one? So he said yes. So he got up at 2:30 in the morning.
Unreal.
And he went and he stood in line and waited, and he got me one. And then he came home and it was the wrong one.
Oh, God.
Yes. So ever since then, he's definitely never going to go do that ever again. So we just order online, or we go, to the stores. And a lot of people don't do it for the quote deals. They do it more as a tradition.
Right.
But nah, not us. But poor Dave, yeah, he got me the wrong one. And I tried not to be disappointed, but he could tell. Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing better at the holidays than being disappointed with somebody when they tried to do something good for you. I think we should change the name of the podcast to just Poor Dave, the Poor Dave podcast. And all we do is tell stories about Poor Dave.
Poor Dave.
I mean, you've got to have like booklets and booklets full of Poor Dave stories.
No, and I do nice things for him too.
Do you?
I do, Todd.
What do you do? What is it that you do for poor Dave?
I do all kinds of nice things. I get him gifts. I make dinner every night, so he's got food to eat when he gets home, and I do the shopping. I mean, granted, it's online, but I do the shopping, and I do all kinds of things for Dave. So, there.
So, I want to take just a couple of moments and talk about gifts really quick.
Okay.
Because I'm not a big gift giver.
I know.
I am. So at any rate, I know you are. I've gotten more gifts from you than I've gotten from some people over many, many, many years. Couple of gifts that I do want to mention just because they're really, really, really sweet. I got a gift already from my friends Charlie and Jennifer. They live down near Atlanta. And they sent me a bunch of coffee and a coffee mug, and it's from a group called Grounds and Hounds.
I love that name.
Yeah, I do too. And it's coffee. And the thing about it is the group Grounds and Hounds, part of the proceeds when you purchase this and ship it to friends or whatever, when you do that, it helps animal rescue organizations. So it helps doggies. So
that's amazing.
I really like that.
Thank you guys for that.
Yep. And the coffee's good. I already had some today. And then another gift I got this year, which is it was so sweet. And it's a little book that I got, and I got it in the mail. And so I got it from this crazy person I know. And she kept saying, "Did you get a package today? Did you get a package today?" And I'm like, no package. She's, "Oh my God." I'm like, what? So I finally get a package in the mail, and it's from who? Sandy Jean.
Yes.
And I open it up. And first of all, I'm thinking, oh God, it's a Bob Ross paint by the numbers book, or it's, something like that.
Do you want one of those?
No, please don't. No, I've got plenty of stuff. As I look around my studio at the Screaming Goat and the Bob Father poster. But it was actually this very sweet book, and it's got a picture of Winston on the front. And it's basically a book about Winston. And you open it up, and there's all these pictures of him that I know that you got offline of, like on Facebook and stuff. But it's all put together with little sayings and all that kind of stuff. It's like if you think about like when you're growing up, the little golden books. Remember that those as kids, right? With the those kind of reminds me of that, but with it's a Winston book. So it's really cute.
I just wanted to give it to you because I know how much you love Winston and how much he means to you. And, I've been through pets. I have my pets now. They are my children. They're my family. And it's hard to watch them get a little bit older because you fall more in love with them, but you still sort of realize that they are getting older. It's,
Right.
And so I wanted to give you something that you could always have Winston near you. I
love it. It's a very favorite thing. So I appreciate it very much. It was very sweet.
You're welcome.
So.
You're welcome. I do. I like to give you, like, if I see things that remind me of you, I'll just send them out. But this one was really special to me. And yeah, because Dave sent it media mail. And media mail can take up to 2 weeks. And most people know that I don't have the most patience in the world at times.
Really? I would never have guessed.
No, I know, right?
Ever.
What did I say to you? Was it yesterday I said this to you? I said, I can't wait till June. Because in June we're coming out for vacation.
And I'm not even there. I can't even think about what's coming up in the next 3 days, let alone give a shit about June.
But I need a vacation. I hate winter. And I miss seeing you and hanging out with you. And so I was like, I can't wait for June. So I don't have the biggest amount of patience sometimes in the world. And so he sent it media mail. It's like up to 14 days. And I'm tracking it and I'm watching it. And it's like taking forever. And I thought it was going to be here last Saturday. And then it wasn't because somebody in the post office was taking their time. And finally it came Monday. So I was just really glad to be able to give it to you.
Yeah, really, really cute. So thank you for that. And then You're welcome. One more thing. No more gifts from anybody. No more gifts. Thank you.
So bad at gifts.
I just don't.
I mean, you know what? I'll tell you something though. In all honesty, I'm not the best acceptor of gifts. I'm just not. Dave and I don't even do gifts to each other anymore.
Right.
We usually around Christmas time either we'll take a vacation, like next December, and we're trying to coordinate with you guys kind of, is maybe go to New Orleans again.
Yep.
So we'll either gift ourselves a trip, or one year we got a great big TV. We'll do something like that, because I'm not very good with the acceptance of gifts.
Well,
Very
of course, because your lovely husband goes out to Kmart to get an iPod, and it's not the right one, so you're disappointed.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. No, I was disappointed not in him. I was just disappointed it wasn't the right one, but he took it back. Not, in
immediately.
The midst
Right.
Yeah, he didn't take it back immediately. He took it back like a couple of days later, and we did get the right one. But yeah, so that's that. So a lot of stuff going on right now. I received a summons in the mail for, of all things, grand jury duty. Now, I have been summoned for regular jury duty. I think they call it petty jury duty or trial jury duty here in New York State. And I have been summoned probably once every 10 years for my whole life, since I was 18, to do it. And I've never had to serve. And this time, though, I get summoned for grand jury duty. So it's 2 months. It's going to be December and January, 1 day, 1 week, and then 2 days the next week, which honestly, I'm kind of excited about. I'm kind of looking forward to it because
you're going to love it. You're going to end up loving it. I'm going to tell you right now.
I probably will. The only part that's really stressing me out with anxiety, though, is that I have appointments and I have to get my eye injections again on the 15th. So I'm kind of stressed about trying to juggle work and jury duty and all of this stuff all at once for 2 months. Well, mostly December. But
so it's 4 days out of the entire month?
No, it's 1 day, 1 week. Then you do 2 days. Right. Then you do one. Yeah, then you do two.
So that's 4, 5, 6.
Six.
Okay, so 6 days out of 30.
Total.
So 12 total out of 60 some days. I think you'll be fine with that. They can't mess with. I mean, work has to deal with it, which sucks, but they have to.
I know. And luckily I work kind of for myself. I freelance.
Right.
Even though I work in partnership with someone.
And then medically, I mean, if you've got appointments that you've got to be to, they have to take that into consideration too.
Well, this was cool. She did say I called them because I had to find out what was going on because I have to reschedule appointments and stuff. Of course, all of my appointments fall on those days. And she did say that you can miss up to 2 times.
There you go.
Without getting penalized. So I am going to not go the week of my eyes in December, and then we'll see what happens. But so a little bit of anxiety, just trying to figure that all out. But I think it'll be interesting. And I'm juror number 159. So I don't know exactly how their selection works. I know how the other one works, the trial jury, but I don't know how this one works. So I don't even know if I'll get called. I just don't know. So somebody said that when you get called in, they basically take everybody who's eligible and pull names out of a hat.
Right.
Is how it works. So I don't know. We'll have to see. So I have to call Tuesday night to see if I have to go in and what the instructions are, or Wednesday.
Okay.
So we'll see. So that's that. That's going on in my life. And
of course, I'm sitting here snickering at you a little bit because I'm thinking, I'm not thinking past the weekend. So if I were on jury duty, I wouldn't be thinking about that till right before. And then I would do what I call roll with the punches. So if that gets thrown at me, I will deal with it then. I will not deal with it beforehand because there's nothing I can do about it at this point. And ironically, I got in the mail the same week that you got your stuff was my letter instructing me about jury duty as well. So, and
how come you didn't tell me that?
Because I'm not going to deal with it till I have to deal with it. It's not that big of a deal to me. So I just,
what kind of jury duty?
It's just regular jury duty.
Regular?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave got his questionnaire the other day.
That's what I got too.
Dave.
That's what I got too.
Oh, yeah.
It was supposed to be filled out in 10 days. It's been way over 10 days. They can come find me at my house and drag me off because I didn't fill out their form.
You know, I don't know how much they keep on that because a lady that used to work for me when I was in banking, she was the sweetest lady, but she was sort of like you times 10 with the roll with it.
Yeah.
She told me one day that she received like 3 summonses over the years and just ignored them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you can get in trouble for that. She's like, nobody ever said anything to me. So I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Boy.
Screw 'em.
Oh, boy. So I don't know. My thing is I'm a planner. I'm an organizer. You know this. You know this very well. And so I have to, I hate going into, one of my big fears is going into something without understanding it beforehand. I hate going into something blind. I hate it. No pun intended with my eyes. But I hate not understanding what I'm doing. The anxiety goes through the roof. So I've been trying to find out as much as I can. But now I'm at the stage where I got to go no matter what if they tell me to. So now I'm going to start to roll with it. But in the beginning, it was all of this. Well, what if A, then B, then what if C, then D? You know, that kind of thing.
Sure, I understand that.
That's just my anxiety that kicks in and my fear of the unknown. I hate that.
So this goes back to our need of doing another podcast for Mind Garden Media called Poor Dave, the podcast. Poor Dave, the podcast. Period.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Mind Garden because everybody hears Mind Garden in the beginning of our podcast episodes. Let's talk about Mind Garden a little bit. It's a project that we're developing. It's been in development for a while now. And it's not right now at the forefront of our lives, but it's slowly sneaking in. We've taken on a couple of new clients. And of course, you can find the Apothecary podcast, which you and I do, under Mind Garden Media. You can find the Mind Garden Media Facebook page. Eventually, we're going to open it up to podcast editing, producing, consultation, all kinds of things. So just like the Facebook page, Mind Garden Media, because eventually you can do your podcast with us. We'll walk you through the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we want to kind of be the one-stop shop for people who want to do, and not probably just any podcast. Some of it can be, but the ones that we actually bring in under our wing, we want them to be podcasts that are open, understanding, instructional, educational, caring, all that kind of stuff. So there's part of that goes into it. I want to just mention really quickly that the Mind Garden Media name came from someplace very specific. And that was from PBS Digital Studios did a remix of some of their very well-known TV hosts. People like Bob Ross and Julia Child. They did these remix versions of some audio that they got from these TV shows. And one of the ones they did was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yes. And so they did a remix of Mr. Rogers talking about certain things, and they created a little song called Garden of Your Mind. And it really stuck with me. I'm just going to play a little bit of it right now, but this is kind of where Mind Garden came from. So check this out real quick.
Hi, neighbor. Welcome again to this neighborhood. I'd like to show you something. You know what this is? Well, maybe if I press this button. This is a cassette player with a little cassette in here, and there's nothing written on it, so we'll just have to play it to see what it is. Do you ever imagine things? Are they scary things? Are they scary things? Do you ever imagine things? Things you'd like to have? Did you ever see a cat's eyes in the dark and wonder what they were? Did you ever pretend about things like that? Did you ever pretend about things like that? Did you ever grow anything in the garden of your mind? In the garden of your mind. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind.
So it's just a little bit of it. He's actually what they did was, and it's so cool, the people that put these together, they took clips from the TV show and then put music to it and made it sound like they're singing, which they're not. But I just thought that the term growing things in the garden of your mind was incredible. And that's where Mind Garden comes from.
That is fascinating and so cool. And props to you for coming up with that. You came up with that before you and I even met.
Oh, yeah. It's been around a long time.
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. And what do they call that? Auto-tuning?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Auto-tuning is what they call that. And that was so cool. It makes me want to cry because I'm so like plugged into sentimentality and things like that.
Right.
And I just remember watching Mr. Rogers as a kid, and it's just absolutely so cool. So cool. So that's Mind Garden Media for you. And if you listen to any of our Mind Garden podcasts, you will hear our mention at the beginning. So pretty cool. We're excited about it. We're just at the beginning stages of growing it. We are working on a stream right now, aren't we?
A little bit. I'm trying to put together what that all entails and how it'll work and what kind of content will be on it. And so right now it's literally sitting on this laptop that's sitting right here next to me. And that's where it is. As you can see, the cover's now closed. So that means the project has been set aside for the holiday.
But you know what, though, Todd? It's like I always believe as long as we're moving forward, we can go as slow as we need to go to make sure it's done right. I wouldn't want to rush things and screw them up royally because I feel like we have something really cool that we can do. So it's going to be really cool. Mind Garden Media, make sure you like the page on Facebook.
Okay, what's next?
What else have we been doing? Okay, it's the podcast Potpourri. I've been reading a really good book. So I know you make fun of me all the time about Ed Gein.
About everything, not just Ed Gein. I make fun of you about everything. I know.
But because we experienced all the things that we experienced when we went out to visit him back in September. Well, not to visit him. Well, yeah, the family, the plot, the grave.
Right.
And then you and I had the experience afterwards last month when we both had visions and dreams of a cemetery there, which kind of blew our mind. You can hear the whole story on the Empathic Harry podcast. It's sort of become really personal to me. Like I feel like this need to know as much as I can about that whole situation. So I read this book called Deviant, which is a really good book. I listened to it on Audible. It's really good because it takes you through Ed Gein's life. It takes you through the disappearances, through the events leading up to his arrest, the time of his arrest, like day by day after he was arrested, the things that they discovered and they learned, and it really up and down, through the trial, everything. Excellent book. And I would listen to it every night before I went to bed. And I found out a few things that were very interesting. And so I thought, okay, which kind of backs up some of our thoughts. And we sort of talked about them a little bit, but I still feel like that cemetery that you and I both had visions. I feel even more strongly now after reading the book that cemetery is somehow involved, even though it's never been named publicly.
Right.
I feel like that cemetery is involved somehow. I think there's something there that shouldn't have been there. It wasn't native to that cemetery. Anyway, so I've sort of been on the serial killer kick, and I'm reading another book right now and of course the name escapes me, but it's really good. It's about a profiler, a serial killer profiler who wrote this book. Oh, it's called The Cases That Haunt Us. And it takes you through some of the most prolific cases in history. JonBenet Ramsey, Jack the Ripper, Lizzie Borden. And what he does is he describes them in detail and how he would profile them in today's world, as opposed to the 1800s for, say, Jack the Ripper.
Right.
And then he comes up with some really good suspects, and you sort of really get into the mentality and the mind of these killers. It's fascinating. It's called The Cases That Haunt Us. And if anybody really likes the true crime sort of serial killer type of ideas, this is a great book to listen to. I'm only in the Jack the Ripper section right now, the first section, but so far it's been really, really interesting. So just a couple of books that I would very much recommend if anybody is into reading, whether it's visually or hearing the books being read on Audible. Really, really good books.
Gotcha. The couple of things I wanted to throw out there. I've been having these weird dreams, and I think I mentioned to you, it hasn't happened since the full moon, but leading up until the full moon, I kept having, I don't know if it's a dream necessarily or an experience of in my room at night being awoken by noise in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And then waking up and having a shadow figure rush out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
It happened 3 times prior to the full moon. And then it hasn't happened since.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on that, because I know we were talking about it before, and I sort of, for me to be able to pick up on things, I sort of have to sit quietly and just kind of concentrate on them, and ideas will come to me. I really feel like there were 2 of them. 2 different energies in that house. Now, I picked up on an energy, was it a month ago, maybe? A female energy in your home?
Yeah.
Not threatening. And I don't feel like these 2 shadow people were threatening. But the thing to remember, though, is that you are, and I get told this all the time because I'm pretty strong empath and a fairly strong medium, according to all the mediums that talk to me. But we are like beacons. You have much more strength than you want. I think you know you do. I don't think you want it. So you are like a beacon for them. You are the attractor for them. They attract to you. And so it may be that because you keep your walls up so high, it may be that you don't really notice it.
Right.
But I think for you, the combination of the full moon and all that entails, I think that this is almost like their chance to sort of come in. So I think that you are attracting them without even wanting to or realizing it, but you don't usually let them get close enough. But I think for some reason, the full moon, the energy with the full moon kind of played with that. And somehow they were there. I don't feel them there anymore.
Yeah, I haven't felt them here since that last one. And I think that was the night before the full moon.
Yeah, I don't feel anything around you. I don't even feel the female energy at your house anymore. I don't feel any of it right now.
Good, they can stay away. This place is off limits to all of you.
But I do think that that's true. I do think that it possibly has happened to you before and you just didn't realize it. That because they're always going to be around you. There's always going to be that energy near you because you are sort of the beacon. So you have to keep that in mind. I didn't sense like it was anything negative, but again, one of the ideas is that shadow people are not in and of themselves their own being or their own entity, that they are really just spirits who don't have enough energy to fully form. That's one of the theories on shadow people. And of course, the other one is that they are their own entities, like they are an entity. I don't believe that every shadow person has negativity attached to it.
Right.
I don't feel it. I've never felt it. I don't believe that they do. So I don't think you so much had negative energy around you, is that I think it was sort of like the veil became so thin that you were able to be more sensitive to them right around that time.
They can stay away.
I'm still trying to figure out. I have this little Casper the Friendly Ghost Funko Pop on my desk. And it seems like it's been moving a little bit here and there. And I know I told you this, and I've been kind of playing around to try and see if maybe I'm hitting it when I turn around to cause it to kind of move sideways a little bit. I don't think so. I'm going to have to set up a camera. I did set it like completely sideways, but I think I think it would be too hard for just any energy to just flip it back over as much as I set it. But I am trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know if there is some energy around me that's trying to get my attention. As Holly would say, they're always trying to get my attention.
I was just going to say, Holly would tell you right now that there's people flying around you right now.
I know. Well, I'm sure there are. Like, I'm sure every medium, every psychic that I speak to says the same exact thing without knowledge of the other ones saying it. So, I mean, I have to believe that. But So I just thought that was interesting, but I'll keep everybody posted on that. I'm so weird. I know.
I mean, not really. I mean, we all kind of have situations like that. I don't think I really focus on much of it. I have not, in this house that I live in now, I have not really had a lot go on. And so when I have some stuff, it really stands out. When my mom, right before my mom passed away, 2 instances of weird stuff. Number one was I was completely home alone in bed, and I heard somebody walking up the stairs to the upstairs. And as soon as it got to the top, there was nobody there. So that was the first thing. The second thing is about like a day or two before she passed, I was awoken in the middle of the night, and what I heard was, "He is my only son."
Wow.
Which could have been my mom, except it was a male voice. So that was interesting. In the studio, you know, the little unit that we use on our microphones, it's called a voice processor.
Yeah.
I was hearing static coming through it consistently, and it wasn't malfunctioning. It wasn't acting up. I tried all that, and that was my first go-to. Well, this must not be working properly. Something must be wrong. And then right after that, I heard people walking on the first floor of my house because my studio is down in the basement. And even Winston, my dog, looked up like, who's here?
Right.
Came upstairs, and there's a door that's at the bottom of my stairs that's always open. It was closed shut. And then the other things that have happened are just recently the 2 or 3 nights where I had the noise wake me up, and then the shadow figure run out of my room or run past my door, one or the other.
You know, it's very interesting. A lot of people, well, I think that this is my thought, but about a month ago, I don't know if we ever talked about this before. About a month ago, I said to you, has the energy, because when we were at your house, I sensed energy in 2 places, but it wasn't anything. It didn't seem like it was like transitory. It seemed like it was stationary.
Yeah.
By both of the doors, your side door and your front door. And I felt it when I would walk in. It was really strong in the kitchen. And so I was sitting there one day, and like things will pop into my head, and I just pictured this woman. She was dressed almost like Jackie Kennedy.
Okay.
Coming around, if I'm standing in your front entrance, and I'm looking through the living room into the dining room, you have sort of like a long table, dining room table. She was coming around the left side of the table, walking towards me. And I can picture her still plain as day. She had shoulder-length hair in a bob, dark hair. She had a hat on, like a, what did they call those, like pillbox hats?
Yep.
She had a suit that looked like it was from the 60s. And those, not kind of like those really thin stiletto heels that the women would wear in like the 60s and stuff. And she was just walking towards me. And I told you about it, and I don't feel like she was anybody you knew. Don't ask me how I know these things, because they just happen. Like I know them. But she belonged somewhere in the neighborhood. Like, I think that because you are a beacon, I think that they are attracted to you, and I think they're attracted to your home. And I feel like they come and go in your home more than you even are aware of.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that your house is the safe house too, because you do understand to some extent the afterlife and the woo-woo, the paranormal community. And you understand that, and they know that you are sort of like a safe haven for them. And I don't think she was residual. I really feel like she was intelligent, but she was in your. I don't feel her anymore. So I think I was right in that she was just there for a while. But that is right around the time that you had a couple occurrences happen to you, which was kind of odd.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Some stuff in the
Remember
kitchen,
that?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, some stuff in the kitchen. So, and we kind of talked about it at exactly the same time, which was cool. But I don't feel like she's there anymore. But I do think that your home, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that just because they have activity in their home, it's some relative or it's
somebody tied to the house or the property.
Somebody tied to the house. But I don't believe that that's the case all the time. I think that that spirits are attracted to people who can help them. And when you can help them, they want to be in your space, so to speak.
Well, let me make this announcement. There's no help here for anyone. Stay away.
Oh my God, you kill me. So that was that going on. So yeah, I think that the shadow people, shadow figures, they're probably not going to be back. And if they are, you may not even notice that they're around, because I think there's a lot of stuff that even goes on in my house. I used to say that nothing happened in my house, but I don't believe that anymore. I think stuff goes on in my house that I'm just not even aware of.
Right.
You know?
Right under your nose, probably, knowing you.
Yes, probably, because I don't want to see it. So I'm not at that point where I want to see things. I think it would be cool if something moved in front of me, but I'm not at the point where I want to see or hear dead people. I just don't.
And I worry about you sometimes, and I know you know this, but I worry about the fact that you are interested. I think you would love to see somebody or hear somebody or whatever, but I think it would bother you. My concern for you is always that once that's open, once it's happened once, it's very hard to stop. And so you have to learn how to stop it, you know?
I know. And that's my fear too, because that's why right now I don't want to, because I'm still learning how to deal with the gifts that I'm aware of. And I've had several people tell me that I can do much more than I do, but I don't want to at this point. I just am afraid of opening the floodgates, and I don't know that I want to, because I'm still trying to understand and manage what I have. It was really exciting in the beginning to realize that I could do this stuff, but now it's become very personal and very serious for me. And it never was really a parlor trick, but it's not as amazing to me anymore. Now it's more like, what can I do to control it and manage it and help other people with it, you know? And so that's where I'm at right now. I don't think I want to go too far beyond that at this point in my life.
I think we're all happy about that. I think those around you and the Hollies of the world all feel like that's a good thing for you to feel. So
I think so. Yeah, I just don't know how much more of that I could handle, because just getting names and seeing people and feeling energies and that kind of stuff, that's plenty for me right now, I think.
Well, and I also think that I think of you and your anxiety about stuff. Can you imagine the additional anxiety that might bring?
I know. And just, you know, I'm a very happy person. Like, I'm very content in my life right now.
Yep.
But it's very easy, especially as an empath, it's very easy to be overcome by other emotions and other feelings and anxiety that may not even be my own. So why would I want to add to that? You know, I'm still trying to manage that. I try to manage that as much as I can. So, you know, but I do have a paranormal question for you. This is, I know I keep trying to talk to you about it. So I was watching Destination Fear last week, which I know you don't like very much. And it's not a ghost hunting show. It's a show about facing your fears and how much can you take, you know, how much can you control your fear? And it's a very interesting concept. And I really like the show because I like the places that they go, and I like to hear the history of the places that they go. And one thing that I've noticed a lot, not just on that show, but on a lot of the shows, is that there seems to be this recurring theme of basements, cellars being so incredibly negative with activity. And I started thinking back about a couple of the investigations that I've been a part of. And in two of them, the basements really were heavier and had more, I don't like to say negative activity, but I guess you could call it that. It was darker. It was a little heavier. A lot heavier in both places. But I'm just kind of curious what you think about that. Do you think there are some people that think that it's worse in the basements of these buildings because they are closer to, the earth and the negativity and it's less of a veil between the negative spirits and things like that? What do you think about that?
I think a couple of things. I think first off, the basement from our childhood is always a scary place. Mm-hmm. So I think whether we want to believe it or not, I think that our typical fears play into some of that. So basements are scary places. How many times as a child did you run up the stairs from after going down and doing something just because a boogeyman might reach out and touch your leg? Right. It's part of that. You are in a grounding area. You are in the ground if you're in a true basement. So that may play into it. Also depends on what kind of ground you're in. Typically it's some sort of soil, but sometimes you might be closer to things like limestone and all that.
Right.
Basements may also be created out of limestone. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Right. And you're also, in some cases, depending on how well the plumbing is grounded, how well the electrical is grounded, all that is a grid above your head. And so there is that possibility of what's known as a fear cage, where if these things are not grounded properly, there may be stray EMF in those areas that could be doing one of two things. Number one, affecting you by making you think there's more going on or feeling like there's more going on. Or number two, actually fueling more of that.
Right.
So I think it's a combination of all that. But I do tend to think that sometimes just the fact that it's the scary basement. I mean, we've all had dreams about being in the basement and had scary basements in our life. Here's the reason why I'm not a fan of that TV show. Not because I think it's a horrible show, but we talk a lot about TV shows, especially paranormal shows, and usually the investigative ones that are a little free with the storytelling. Throw a little something extra in there. If you can go, what was that? It's a better TV show.
Right.
And while the show that you're talking about isn't necessarily about investigating, it's facing your fears, it still does, for me, it still does kind of feed that to the same audience that enjoys the, what was that, in the investigative shows.
Sure.
So,
no, you're right. You're right. I think it's important to kind of go into some of those. The executive producer on this show is the one and only Mr. Baggins. And
I wasn't going to add that to the list, but that is number 3 why I won't watch the show.
Yeah, I know. But you have to watch some of these shows with sort of a grain of salt. Let me explain. Let me give you guys an example of a basement that I investigated.
Can we get to that? I want to ask you something.
Okay.
We've had a conversation about people who investigate, who aren't necessarily part of TV shows. Or we were talking a couple of weeks ago about, people that don't believe in ghosts and why don't they believe in ghosts? And some of that probably is these TV shows and that kind of stuff.
Right.
By watching these shows, even if it is, even in the back of your mind, somebody who's actually done investigating, who's had stuff actually happen, who is very skeptical of anything that she sees, hears, or feels, we can say for us, watch the show what it is. It's entertainment. But that's what draws viewership. And then that's what the networks then provide to viewers. They do more of that kind of stuff, less of the actual investigative stuff. And does that then fuel people going, well, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in energy. I don't believe, in any of that kind of stuff.
It sure does. Because I think that, and I think we've discussed this before, sort of, I think what the TV shows do, Dave and I watch a lot of classic ghost hunters on Discovery Plus. And one of the reasons we love that show among all of them is that it was very no nonsense, no flamboyance. It was just very straightforward.
Yep.
And it really gave you some insight into what the world of paranormal investigation is. You know, getting sick from the dinner you ate in the middle of the night, so having to call the investigation off until the next night.
Right.
And, you know, not getting any activity whatsoever, you know, or getting something that you can't explain. And that's when paranormal TV was really sort of just starting out. And now it's turned into, I hate to say this, but it's kind of turned into a circus. Not all the way across the board, but it's turned into something that if I wasn't if I hadn't had experiences myself, if I didn't know, if I wasn't educated on the paranormal to the point that I am, and I was just watching one of these shows, I wouldn't believe in ghosts either. And as it is, I still don't know 100% what I'm experiencing because I am a skeptic. Like, I don't just take everything for face value. I have to disprove it before I can say, okay, I think that this experience I had or this blip on a EMF meter was something paranormal.
Yeah.
So I think they do an incredible disservice to the people who truly want to understand it and want to learn about it by making it such a circus. And that's why I like shows like Kindred Spirits, because I think they go towards more of the storytelling side, but they also are not flamboyant in what they do. It's pretty to the point, bare bones. There's not a lot of drama going on all the time. So I'm not a big fan of all those. I can take it at face value and just say, okay, it's entertaining. It's something to watch. But a lot of people, I just don't like the fact that a lot of people watch these and think that's what it's really like.
What we're seeing now is that Hollywood mentality is now leaking its way into paranormal groups who were once going out and investigating to help people to get to the bottom of certain things. That mentality is now oozing out into those groups, and you're seeing there's more and more groups that are out there trying to create, they're content creators is what they are. They're not investigators. They're content creators.
Everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants to be a star, and social media allows you to do that.
Sure.
And all you have to do is have a good storytelling talent and look convincing and be dramatic enough, and you have 16,000 viewers, followers, and I just don't know that that's what you should be doing. Are we in this so that we can help people and understand it, or are we in it so that we can get as many followers as we can? And
well, I think that's the difference between a content creator and an investigator.
Right.
Just that's my personal thought on that. So getting back to the basements that you've been in, because that'll probably wrap up our podcast today. But we were talking about basements in general, and you said you've had a couple of basements that you've had some specific, like, darker feelings toward.
Yeah, one of them was at the at a very old mansion that we did. And we were in the basement, and I've been in basements before where I've had nothing happen. We did an investigation a month or so ago, and I was in the basement, and I felt fine. There was nothing there. I've done a couple of Dennis Webster, the founder of Fort Schuyler Paranormal Society, which we belong to. His basement, absolutely nothing. It was fine. But then you get into a basement like this one, and as soon as we got downstairs, and it was very similar to the house that we did. It was very old. And as soon as you got down there, the meter would just start hitting like high. And we all know that, sometimes a 2 or a 3 is phenomenal when it comes to EMF. And so we were in these rooms and we were hearing audible moans, female moans. I think there were like 6 of us in there at once. And the EMF meter was going, hitting 48, 68, 39. I mean, just all over the place, just huge spikes of energy. And there was no reason for it, because even if you had electricity running through the ceiling, through the walls, it's going to be pretty steady. It's not going to jump around. And it was just all over the place. And every time we heard an audible moan or a yell, we'd spike even more. And so I think I have video of that. I'll have to see if I can find that video. Maybe Dennis has it. I can't remember if I have it or Dennis. But anyways, it was very heavy and very dark in there. And I just didn't feel right at all. I didn't feel right at all. So as we were leaving to go back up the stairs, I had my meter in front of me and it hit 59. And I also carry my digital recorder with me throughout an entire investigation. I don't do just EVP sessions. I carry it with me because some of my best EVPs I've gotten when we weren't doing EVP sessions, we were just there. We were walking. We were sitting in silence. And that's when I would get them. And I got an EVP when I went through the audio of a voice almost over my shoulder. I got that feeling it was over my shoulder, sort of mocking me, because at one point I had said, "Oh, it's 59." And right before I say that on the audio, you can hear a voice say, 59. And
yikes.
That was pretty creepy, I have to say. I'm so glad I didn't hear that audibly beforehand because it literally sounded like it was right over my shoulder. And so, yeah, I've had dark experiences in basements, but I've also been in basements without any issues. And interestingly enough, Dennis's basement, his whole house is made of limestone. It was from 1839, I believe. So it's just a weird thought. A weird concept. It just came into my head, and I was kind of curious what you thought. So, very cool.
Whoa, you beautiful souls. I'm so excited to have this platform where I can share my gifts, the things that I do, what we need to do as a collective energy to really step into soul's path. Reiki and healing and alignment. Oh my goodness, these are all so very important in what we do. I have a daily podcast that I do. You can find me on Spotify and Anchor for your daily vibes, your energies as a collective unit, right? You can also find me on my Facebook page where I really go more in depth with it, but you can find me at Mystic Karma by Victoria.
This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
All right. Well, I think that our podcast potpourri.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. We've got the holidays just around the corner coming up this month. We've got some good content for you as well coming to our live casts. In fact, looking ahead on the December 1st live cast on a Woo Woo Wednesday, we're going to have Yvette Marie on. She's going to talk about alternative healing and crystals. She's got a very interesting story. Now,
I can't wait to have her on. And we're friends on Facebook now. And she is just the kindest person. And I really can't wait to talk to her, Todd.
It's so funny because I don't know if you know this. I went to high school with her.
You said that.
Yeah. And so, I had no idea that she was into all this stuff, but she is.
Oh, funny.
And so that'll be a good thing. And then we're going to have Aaron Mazza on. Mm-hmm. They're going to be on with us talking about holiday traditions and not so much Christmas, but obviously on the other side, kind of Yule and things of that nature and witchcraft. Yep. And then Sarah Elizabeth. Sarah is a medium that I've known for quite some time. And she's been on a few investigations with ghost investigators or paranormal researchers, that type of thing. And I kind of wanted to get her take on being, because, you're kind of one of those people that is on the line on both sides. You do the scientific stuff, but then you've also got the mediumship going on. I really wanted to get it from a medium standpoint who doesn't do all the Mel meters and the K2s and all that. We really talk to her about what she experiences when she's investigating.
I'm so excited. I can't wait for that. I love to get the perspectives of different mediums, psychics that cross my path because, again, I'm still learning. And a lot of these people are sort of in that developed stage. So I love getting the different perspectives and ideas from them. It's going to be a great show.
Should be. So keep an eye on that. We'll keep you up to date on our Facebook page. Join our group. Stay Weirdos, friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. Almost messed that up, but I kind of came through with it. Do that. And follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Toddcast. We're on Twitch, which I don't know much about.
Yeah, we're on Twitch now.
Twitch. So
we're on Twitch. That was your thing. I don't know anything about that.
And I don't know much about it. I know that we're live when it's supposed to be live, and I know the videos are archived there for a little bit. And that's about it. That's about all I know about Twitch.
Well, you know what? That's all that matters. But yeah, make sure that you that you become a member of our group, Stay Weirdos Friends, the Sandy and Toddcast, like the Empathicary podcast page on Facebook, Mind Garden Media page, and also the Sandy and Toddcast page. And please, please, please leave us a review. We have some really cool contests and giveaways coming up in January to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And if you leave us a review, guess what? You get to be part of that.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess until the next Sandy and Toddcast, I'll say bye.
Bye.